Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, this is Boisterous coming to you with some Mixed League Madness out of the map Shakur's Plateau. Spawning up here in the top right hand corner, we have ExGPuNNiSheR. I don't know why he has two N's in his name, that's not how you spell Punisher. Anyway, up in the top left hand corner is his opponent, the blue Terran, is going to be SpookY. Now, of course, this is a Mixed League Madness, and SpookY is actually a silver player who, in his email, said he had astonishingly high MMR. So he's playing on the ladder against a platinum player, which I always find annoying that that can kind of happen. I also dislike the fact that you need to lose for your MMR to like settle at a point, because I think it should just bump you up based on how much you're winning. That would just make more sense. However, you know, I'm not Blizzard, so I don't really make those decisions. Anyway, we have both players dropping the common 10 pylon, you know, or 9 pylon and 10 supply depot. It's just very straight up, very simple. And I really don't have a whole lot of announcements because I kind of announced them all during my last game. So we're just gonna watch this happen for a little bit. Both players, again, just doing normal things, normal silver stuff. Dropping the barracks at the front. Now, of course, I'm still kind of like almost broken on building stuff at the front, because for the same reasons as in PvP, I think in PvT it actually is a boon to you to have more room to attack the low ground. Of course, in TVZ, I completely support this because that stops Zergling run-bys, and Zergling run-bys are extremely annoying. However, in TVP, you know, this just gives you less surface area to shoot around. So, like, if there are stalkers on your ramp and they're attacking this supply depot, you have a small ring of marines that can defend this supply depot. Whereas if there were stalkers on your ramp and you had this entire area covered in marines, you'd be able to fire with much higher effectiveness at the units on your ramp. And that's just my personal opinion. And of course, that kind of goes the same for the Protoss player. Because again, if you force field them off your ramp, you want to be able to have units right at the top of that force field just sniping down at the Terran forces. Because if the Terran forces are honestly that stupid, you just try to like run headlong into the force fields, then they deserve to die. And there's no better way to serve out death than with stalker fire from above. Anyway, we have ExGPuNNiSheR, interestingly enough, kind of supply blocking himself. A little bit, that was kind of nasty. He's dropping 2 pylons to rectify the situation, which is honestly not what you should do. Just drop 1 pylon and then just, you know, play normally. Dropping 2 pylons really doesn't behoove you to any effect. You know, if you only drop 1 pylon, then as soon as you see this command center, you can drop your own nexus and you're perfectly fine, you're perfectly normal. Because honestly, if you look at him now, he has 34 supply, and he's not going to need 34 supply for quite some time. He does have a full bar of Chrono Boost, which he is now spending on that Warp Gate research. So that Warp Gate research is going to be coming out astoundingly fast, and it's kind of interesting the fact that he dropped both of these pylons right here. I think that's mainly because his probes were in his mineral line, so that's just where he dropped it. However, I do like to have backup pylons at the front of the base just because it's useful. I mean, there's a lot of kind of abusive timings Terran players can have, like Marauder Marine timings. They're just so strong against the Protoss force, because it's really hard to deal with concussive shells early game as Protoss. It's actually almost very hard to deal with concussive shells all game as Protoss. It's just a very strong upgrade. But early game especially, where like it basically nullifies your zealots and makes your stalkers impossible to run. So if you are going to engage, you need to engage with your entire army, and the engagement is basically until, you know, the last person on the field dies, almost. For either one of the players. We have both players wrapping up their natural expansiones. This is, of course, morphing into an orbital command for our Terran players, so very standard, very average, what everybody should want to do in the game. We have the 3 Marines coming out, and there's already 4 Marines in the bunker, so he's macroing up kind of hard. He's going for this pretty standard 3 racks playoff, 1 base, or 2 bases. I would like to see him add on and go up to like 6 Raxes, because honestly that's kind of the point where you can support all of that, especially on 2 bases. Get it like 6 Raxes, you know, maybe 2 or 3 with reactors, and the other 3 with tech labs, just to pump out some Marauders. But you know, that's kind of how, when I play Terran, how I do it against Protoss, and of course I don't play Terran all that much. I just don't. We do have the one gate. Oh, okay. No, he has 3 gateways. We have 3 gateways morphing all into warp gates. A Twilight Council going down, which is something kind of interesting for a mid-league player. Usually you see people go for like robotics facilities, just because robo facilities are much harder to fail with, I would say. Colossi are units that are very strong no matter the situation, or almost no matter the situation. I guess if your opponent's going Sky Terran, they get kind of weak. However, as we've seen in the past in a lot of different games, Blink Stalkers are easy to fail with. I think like 3 or 4 games ago, I casted a game with somebody that brought his entire Blink Stalker army here, and then he blinked like half of it up and ran the rest of it through photon cannons at the natural, and then just died to a Void Ray army that he should not have died to because he had superior upgrades and he had superior numbers. But, you know, that's kind of just what happens if you are more of a novice player trying to use Blink. However, it does not look like he's going for Blink. He's going for Templar? I guess that's a legitimate strategy. However, usually you see people go for upgrades. Either Charge or Blink is really a legitimate upgrade in this matchup because Charge makes your Zealots essentially as dangerous as Zerglings, and Zerglings are actually very dangerous against Terran players, so they're just very tanky Zerglings, and tanky Zerglings are pretty scary. And it looks like he's dropping down another 3 gateways, going up to 6, which is kind of a standard number for 2 bases. It's not too many, it's not too few. I actually like people to go 7 gates. I mean, a lot of people say that that's kind of more of an all-in number, but I think it's very nice for 2 bases if you need to defend, because if you're ever in that situation where you need to defend, you're going to cut probes and you're going to want to be able to spend every inch of money you get on units, which honestly you can kind of do with 6 gateways, but I think it's a much more efficient way if you go up to 7. So even if you don't use that 7th gateway until you're stuck in that kind of defensive position, I think it's still worth it just to have it. He is going for double upgrades though, which is a very nice play. And there's Templar Archives finally. This is kind of late, and he is also going for Charge, just by the way. So you do have +1/+1 about to finish, and for a Terran player, +1 our weapons is just about halfway done. So this is actually going to be quite advantageous for our Protoss player, because our Terran player really doesn't have a whole lot of tech. He is just getting his first couple of medevacs now, which really isn't too late. However, versus charge lots, you need quite a few medevacs, because charge lots take a lot of damage and they deal a heck of a lot of damage. They will just absolutely massacre and like slice your army to bits if you're not careful with them, especially if you consider the fact that there's Psionic Storm on the field as well. That's very dangerous. Now, of course, this is, I don't know why I put the Templar Archives here, because this is very easy to snipe. It's very easy for this pylon to get sniped on powering, 7 buildings. But more importantly, it's very easy just for the Templar Archives to get sniped. I prefer it to be like at the back of the natural, like here, because it's actually a lot harder to snipe it, especially if you have a pylon field like that, because then even if a drop lands here, it needs to run all the way through the mineral field to even get in range of this. And if the drop lands here, it's kind of nasty. I mean, like, you can trap stuff in there with sentries, and then just pick it off with stalkers or until it gets picked up. Also, it's a lot closer to a lot of your. Oh, here comes the army. Wow, I completely missed that push out. Here comes the army from SpookY, and this is what I'm talking about. This is why you want those really, really high numbers of gateways, because you look at how much money he has. Now, granted, he has been warping in religiously on every cycle, and he's just getting absolutely torn to shreds here. And here comes, well, I mean, there it got unpowered with a second left to go, but it didn't, that doesn't matter. That's not anything important to this game. Wow. Punisher just lost in like 1 attack to an army he should not have lost to. That was kind of heartbreaking. I feel a little bit sad. Well, anyway, guys, if you want your games to be commentated, send them on into boisteroussc2@gmail.com. Also, you can head on over to youtube.com/user/boisteroussc2 for any of the other videos I've commentated. And, of course, there will be a link to a Battle.net thread in the description below that you can go and post any questions, comments, concerns, anything like that in. If you have any ideas for stuff you want me to do, just post it there. It's a lot of fun. So anyway, guys, this is Boisterous, signing out.